Welcome to the second video of my review of the AeroGarden. I just unpacked my first AeroGarden and now I'm going to walk through setting it up for the first time. Stick around. This is In the Garden. Thanks for joining me. Whether you're a new viewer or a returning subscriber, I'm glad you're here. This is In the Garden, where I share tips and tools to help new gardeners be successful in backyard vegetable gardening. Today, we're inside and we're setting up the AeroGarden for the very first time. I'm gonna walk through all the instructions and just set it up the way the instructions say, step by step, and show you how all this goes together and how we set it up. I have all my supplies here, everything that came with it, my pods, my instructions, power cords, and the actual AeroGarden unit. So we're just gonna walk through the instructions. The first thing we're gonna walk through is the quick setup guide. Step number one is to make sure that the bowl is securely seated in the base and that it's properly aligned. So we're gonna make sure that this grow deck is properly aligned on top and that this is in the base and it's not on there sideways or anything else. Next, we're gonna connect the pump cord. It says to add water to the fill here marker and then add plant food per the instructions. So I'm actually going to lift this up, the light, just so I have some more room to work because that was a little low. And with this down all the way, and if I'm trying to pour water into here, I feel like I'm going to end up making a mess. So I'm just going to go ahead and lift the light up all the way. And I actually have this light up all the way as high as it goes now. And you can see there's a little bit of space here between my kitchen cabinet. These are standard height kitchen cabinets, so this fits under just fine. So there's no issue with it fitting under the cabinet. And we're going to add water to the fill to here marker. One important note is I pre-read these instructions, and the instructions that come with the seed pods are a little different than this one. This quick start guide just says add water. In the seed pod instructions, it's specific and it says either add tap water or add distilled water. It says do not use well water or soft water. So if you have water from a well or you have a soft water system in your home, you're going to want to make sure you don't use those. It says that using those types of water can prevent your seeds from germinating. I know that's kind of important, especially here in the desert, because there's a lot of people that have well water. So if you're on well water, you're going to want to make sure you have some distilled bottled water on hand to use instead. One thing that's not really clear in the instructions is how much water to put in it. It has a marker inside the tank that says fill to here, but it's not like a line on the side or anything that says like fill minimum and maximum. It's just on top of this little pillar and it says fill to here. So that isn't really clear whether you're supposed to fill it to above that or just to right at the surface of that. I went ahead and I filled up the water to just above the top of that little pillar that says fill to here. I'm assuming that's what it needs, so hopefully we didn't just do something wrong and break the whole system. Now we need to add the plant food. The plant food instructions are on the container for the plant food. So for the 6-pod model, we're going to add 2 capfuls, which is 8 milliliters, at startup and every 2 weeks. The unit will tell us when we need to add new food, and that's just based off a 2-week timer. So you could basically keep track of that yourself, or the thing will remind you so you don't forget. So again, for the 6-pod model, we're going to use 8 milliliters, which is 2 capfuls. Now it says to place the seed pods in the opening on the grow deck and cover them with the grow domes. So we're going to put those pods into this grow deck, but I'm going to go ahead and put this on here first because that's what the picture shows. And these are the different seed pods. I should have talked about this in my unboxing video. When I opened this all up, I made a video where I showed everything that came in the system, and I opened up the seed pod kits. I didn't talk about what kind of seed pods actually came in that initial kit. The seed pods are 2 different types of basil. There's also a parsley, a thyme, mint, and also dill. So we're gonna put all these pods in. I'm gonna put the 2 basils at opposite ends so that I can keep track of them a little easier. So I'm gonna put 1 basil in at this end, and I'll put the other basil in over on this end. As soon as I put those in, the little peat moss pieces inside floated, so they went right to the surface of this. You can see there's a little space in here, and as soon as I put them in, it went right to the top. It also says to not remove these labels, otherwise you're not going to know what's in each pod, so make sure you leave your plant labels on. I'm going to put the dill here, and then I'm going to put, let's put the mint over here. Just kind of fit in. They feel like they only fit in a certain way, which is odd because they don't have any kind of grooves or anything, but they don't seem like they just kind of fit in whichever way. This one is the thyme, and finally the parsley is going to go here. All the pods are in. We have to refer to the seed pod kit instructions at the same time because the quick start instructions don't actually go through everything in enough detail. It's real basic, and I know that the seed pod instructions have a little bit more detail in them. And actually there's a discrepancy between the two. In the quick start instructions it says to add water and plant food and then add the pods. In the seed pod instructions it says to add water, then add the pods, and then add this plant food after that. Either way, it's the same, but it's a little odd that they have different instructions between the 2 sets. Also, on the plant pods, the labels tell you what kind of plants it is, tells you how long till it's going to germinate, and it also tells you whether it's a tall or short or a medium plant. This particular model, it's just 1 row, but if you had one of the other models where it had multiple rows, you could put your tall plants in the back and the shorter ones in the front, so that it would have a better aesthetic appearance, and also so it'd be easier to get to the different pods. It also says in the pod instructions that if you're growing things like tomatoes and peppers, that you'll need more room because of the larger plant size. So there's plant spacers to cover extra holes that are not in use. So that's something I didn't even realize before I got this, is that if you're growing something like tomatoes, that you're not going to be able to put 6 pods in this. You might get fewer pods because they're going to be bigger plants, which it should be obvious. If you're planting tomatoes or peppers, they're a lot larger than things like herbs, so you're going to need that extra space to grow them, but that actually reduces the amount of things you can grow in your AeroGarden, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Next, we're going to place the grow domes over each of these seed pods. It says that you are to put these over and leave them until the plants nearly touch the top of the dome, and then you're going to remove them. And we've already added plant food because we followed the quick start instructions, which said to do that first. So we went ahead and added that, and we're ready to go. Nowhere in the instructions did it say that it was time to plug in the unit. So I went through the whole setup process and haven't plugged it into the actual power outlet yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and get started with our growing. I can see that the unit is turned on now, and it says, welcome, press the leaf button to start, which is lit up here in green. Set the clock. So it is currently 2. How do I go next? Whoops. I just set the clock to the wrong time because this button is real touchy. You don't really have to push it. If you just touch it, that's what it's doing. So we have to kind of restart here. I don't know what we're gonna do now. All right, we have veggies, salads, herbs. So it's asking me to select the types of plants that are in the pods right now. So right now I have herbs, which it says 17 hours of light. So this unit is going to turn the lights on and off automatically for that number of hours a day. So I'm going to go ahead and select that with this green button again. Herb garden set. And the lights, that is awfully bright. And I could hear the pump turned on. It's not loud, You could barely hear it, but it made a little rumbling sound as it started running. And now I'm going to try to figure out if I could reset the clock. I got it within a half an hour of the actual time, but I kind of want to get it set right. So this button here is turning the light on and off. And again, these buttons are kind of like touch buttons. They're not actual buttons. You don't actually have to push them. If you just touch them, they're triggering. So we got to see if we can figure out a way to reset. Menu, use arrows to scroll. So let's see. Set clock. We're going to set the clock again. So that wasn't that hard. I was able to get into the clock. I don't know how to get to the next one. There we go. And I'm going to set the clock to the right time. Okay, push that to set PM. Clock is set. Alright, so I was able to fix the clock pretty easily, even though I accidentally set it to the wrong time, by just using the green button to go back into the menus again. An important thing in the menu is to be able to set the lights on time. When you first set up the unit, it's going to set that as the start time for the lights. So I just set mine up at 2:36 in the afternoon. That's going to be the on time for the lights every day. So it's going to turn on at 2:36 p.m. and stay on for 17 hours. I don't really want the light on all night long, so I'm going to adjust that time in the menu setting to set it to come on early in the morning so that it'll shut off at nighttime. I'm setting it to 5 a.m. so that the 17 hours will go from 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. It says that the pump will run for 5 minutes and then shut off for 25 minutes. There's a menu setting for test pump, so we're going to go ahead and try that now and see what it does and how the pump sounds when it's running. The unit says testing pump. I didn't hear anything, so I don't know if it's actually running or if it's just really quiet. Nothing seems to have changed, so I'm not really sure what happened there. If I open up this lid, it doesn't really appear that the water is moving around or anything, so I'm not sure if it's actually doing anything or not. So I guess I'm going to have to wait 25 minutes and see if the pump turns on to see if there's any noise or anything else like that. So I have my AeroGarden all set up. It's all ready to go. It's plugged in. All the pods are in. So now we just wait. We wait for the seeds to germinate. So we'll give it a couple of weeks and I'll just keep checking in on it, making sure that the water stays full, and also to make sure when I add plant food in 2 weeks. The screen should tell me what I need to do, so it shouldn't be too hard, and we'll see how it does, and we'll check back in a couple of weeks. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button, and if you want to get more content like this to help you be successful in your garden, make sure you subscribe so you can get all my latest videos. And make sure you click the bell to turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.